ourselves relevant because we cannot go out and continue working as our regular artist selves. So that is me today. June 2020. I am an artist who is stuck at home, trying to make the most out of it.
Thank you. And speaking of being at home, what is one thing like most people wouldn't know about you, but like a hobby or something that you do now?
A hobby that I do now, I've actually picked up a lot during quarantine. I've learned how to cook really well. I'm obsessed with tie-dyeing and bleach dyeing clothes now, which I learn everything on YouTube. In terms of my craft, I've gotten better with my singing, my songwriting, my guitar playing skills because I've just had so much time to sit here and practice and create and be creative in my space. So I think those are the main things that have been keeping me occupied. Yeah.
Cool. And do you think like as a singer, songwriter, entrepreneur, all the things that you do, that you found your true calling yet?
I think finding my true calling is always going to be a process. The essence of it, I think, is really to inspire. And I gravitate way more towards inspiring young women like you guys, because when I was growing up, I didn't have a mom for the majority of my teenage and adult years to guide me. My mom passed away when I was 13 years old, and I was the eldest of 5 children. I had 3 brothers after me and then a sister. And I really had no one to look up to teach me how to become a young woman, you know? Like I could only look to idols and like artists that I would look up to and my friends' moms, you know, but no one really in the vicinity of my home. So for me, if I could impart any sort of advice or wisdom or just inspire young girls to start doing what they want to do or start the journey to find what they want to do in life as early as they can, then I'd love that. Like, I feel like that would make me or my soul really happy. So I think being an artist, singing songs, the songs that I write are typically very inspirational, or there's always a message. It's not just pop songs or pop R&B songs. Yes, I do fun songs also, but then majority of my songs have a message and something inspiring to take away from it. And then in acting, as an actress, I've taken on really powerful, empowered women roles. So I do a lot of action. I do a lot of heavy drama, but my roles tend to be to show inner strength as a woman. And I love that because, I don't know, for some reason in local television in the Philippines, they don't portray that type of woman very often. So I'm very lucky that I've been very lucky to have been given those kinds of roles so far. And I feel like it's just like a natural thread that weaves through everything that I do, whether it's the performing or even in business. I used to have a perfume business and it was all about, you know, being yourself and expressing yourself your own way and being confident in who you are. So it's all kind of tied into what I exude as a person. So I guess my true calling would be something along the lines of that. But obviously we're always a work in progress. So who knows, maybe it'll change over time. But for now, it's that.
Wow, that's really interesting because do you think like in like the acting industry, for example, you've experienced gender bias or gender gap in any way? Since you were talking about roles and stuff, like is it challenging to find those roles or?
Well, I think just as women, it's always going to be extra challenging. And I never really thought of it as like, oh, sucks to be me, I'm a girl or I'm a female. Like I always just accepted the fact that it's going to be just harder for women because men have always throughout history been given um, more opportunities than women. So for me, it's not really about like, oh, you know, like a victim mentality. It's more like, well, I want to do that, so I'm gonna do it. And how do I do it? I do my best at every step that it would take to reach that goal. And then it's kind of like um, timing, preparedness, and um, faith is all combined into one. And then you eventually wake up one day and you're doing something really great that you've set your mind to doing. But yes, sometimes, I don't know, sometimes I just feel like in certain cultures, like here in the Philippines, it's a very machismo, paternal culture. And what I've noticed is if I'm more vocal or if I speak up, um, people get intimidated by me right away. I didn't really experience that as much when I lived in the States, when I was in NYU for college and lived in New York for a long time. Like, it was more accepted for me to voice my opinion and be strong as a woman over there. And then when I moved back here after college and after working in New York for a while, I felt like I had to kind of pull back the confidence and the knowledge and the intelligence factor, you know, and just to make sure that I wouldn't block people from letting me into their space. You know what I mean? Like at a meeting, for example, like instead of just openly talking about whatever you think right away, like I feel like I had to tone down my personality a little bit at times. But it's getting better. There's definitely been a big change from 2012 when I first moved back to Manila from the States to now. Like there's definitely been more of a change. I feel like I've seen such a big shift in how women come together as a collective in both the entertainment industry and in business. There are a lot of young entrepreneurs now who are women, and they're their own CEOs and their own bosses. So it's really nice to see the shift and be part of the movement.
And do you think that you have any mentors here or in New York, for example, that have helped you with your journey? Male or female?
Yes. Well, um, not one mentor in particular, but I've met a lot of really strong women that have influenced how I think. So when I was in New York, one of my most memorable internships was I interned for Diane von Furstenberg, who's this amazing fashion designer. She's the head of, I think she's the president of CFDA, and she had an entire company filled with women, you know, women managers and women bosses and designers and all that. And when I saw how she ran her business and still maintained a family work-life balance, I was like, wow, I want to be like her one day, you know? So I would just keep these things. And then I would also have mentors who are men, who are very strong, but also um, very aware of their surroundings and people around them. And I mean, they inspire me also. And I also have one of the things that helped me out a lot in recent years is a life coach. I've actually explored life coaching, and it just helps me break down any limiting beliefs that I may have had that were stopping me from, you know, breaking barriers within my mind and myself. Like whatever's hindering me from going for what it is I'm supposed to be doing, they help me kind of point it out and know what to do with it so that I can make the proper changes to be better with managing that. Um, so those, I guess those would be my mentors. So women that I admire, that I've physically been around or worked with, businessmen or successful persons of interest in their fields that I've had the chance to talk to. I'm kind of like a sponge. when I'm in the room with someone, I just absorb their energy, and I observe how they behave and how they talk to people, and I kind of just take notes, you know, and I keep that in the back of my mind and try to figure out how I want to create my own vision board for what I want to do with my life. And then I take the good parts and, you know, try to apply it to my own thing.
Yeah, it's
My
really
dad is also definitely a mentor. My dad's a very successful businessman here in the Philippines, and he's definitely someone that's taught me a lot, especially when it comes to business. Because like even if I'm an artist in entertainment, it's still a business at the end of the day. So you want to monetize what you're doing also, and you got to be business minded about things.
That's very true. And how you said about a vision board, I think a lot of the girls listening would also, that would help them too. And you talked about limiting beliefs, and I was wondering if you could like share a bit about like your personal ones, or if you've dealt with like failure, rejection. Like, do you like, are you,
Yeah.
or do you like
Oh my
to?
gosh, so much, so many. Um, so one of my limiting beliefs growing up that I didn't realize that I was doing, like I'd always think, no, I'm not like that, but really I am. I always think I'm not good enough. Like I have this weird, like annoying voice in my head that tells me you're no, that's not enough. No, you can't do that. No, you're not good enough. Weird, right? Like considering, like looking back at how much I have done and how many situations I've gotten myself into, but it's constantly there, and it's something that I always have to um, deal with. Like I always have to remind myself, no, you are enough. You are worthy. You can do it. Just be brave. You are courageous. You are abundant. You deserve it. You know, like I have to talk to myself, talk through um, my limiting beliefs to be able to keep it as a lifestyle. But there are days when it's just not, it just doesn't work out sometimes. But that's the main thing. So what tends to happen is when I think that I can't do it, I'm not worthy or I'm not enough, I end up giving up right away, or not putting, like let's say, let's be more specific, writing a song. I'll write a song, finish it, think that no one's gonna like it, and then I stop and I throw it away. But it's like, why do that when you can set it aside? If you don't like it yet, go back to it, and maybe it could turn into a gem. And then I wouldn't have the confidence to show it to anyone for feedback, you know. Like that's always been a struggle for me. And
What would you say to someone who's like dealing with that? Because a lot of girls are my age struggle with like, if I'm not good enough, I don't want people to laugh at me. If I do something like, if I show them my work, it's not good enough. Like it'll never be good enough. How do you like deal with that? And how do you?
yeah, well, one thing that I've learned, I'm not perfect at it, but I try to do this, is always tell yourself that you're doing this thing that you want to do because you love it. And if you love it, you're going to do everything in your power to be good at it or to do your best at it, right? And when you give your best, nothing or nobody can take that away from you. Second, it's okay to face rejection, to get laughed at, to fall flat on your face. What matters is how you get up. Because believe me, girl, I have embarrassed myself completely in front of thousands and thousands of people, fallen flat on my face. You know, like moments where you're like, I'm just gonna give up. But something in me would always tell me, no, forget about it. They'll forget it. Get back up, do it again. So then you keep getting up, you keep doing it until you're kind of numb to the pain and the embarrassment that you might feel when you fail, or when you don't get the response that you expect from whoever you're showing it to. Um, the sooner that you can get that out of the way, the better for you, because you're constantly going to have that feeling. So might as well get it out of the way, get embarrassed, fall flat on your face, get the negative feedback and constructive criticism as early as possible, so that the next time you do something, you've already improved and then they give you more feedback, at least you know how to take the feedback. So the feeling of like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed, like that feeling kind of goes away. You get numb, you get used to it, but you're constantly improving because you keep going. But if you stop, then nothing's gonna happen, right? Like you go back to square one.
Yeah.
So for me, that would be my advice. Like, know in your heart that you're good enough and that you're doing this because you love it. So if you love it, then no one can say anything to you because you love it, right? It's fun. And then if you put something out or say something or even auditions or trying out for something, it's always so scary, right? I remember trying out for like basketball in high school and thinking, should I go to the tryouts? I don't know, I suck, you know. But then you do it anyway, and you never know the outcome. It really depends on how you perform, and if
Do
you
you
don't
think,
make it the first time, go again.
do you think that's
So
sorry, continue.
sorry.
I was gonna ask you if you think like those failures like that, like if you hadn't done it, you would have missed out on some great opportunities.
Yeah, for sure. um when I look back, I feel like if I would have just allowed myself to fail more and faster, I would be further along now. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like if I would have just been brave enough to just try something when I thought of trying it the first time, then I would be further along. But because I waited so much, like I waited so many years to try and do this, I waited so many years to fix this idea and make it happen. If I would have started early and not procrastinated, I would have been further along. I always think that, but it's okay. I mean, everyone has their process. Everyone learns on their own time. So I don't regret anything, but definitely, yeah, if I didn't do those things when I did, I probably would not have a lot of opportunities I have now.
Thank you. And now we have a few questions actually.
Okay.
The first one is from someone who's asking, what do you see as the most challenging aspect of your career?
Hmm. The most challenging, I think, is matching your expectations to the timing of how your life unfolds. Because you work so hard, and when you exert a certain level of effort, a part of you expects some sort of return right away. Um, like we're all trained to do that. Like we study for an exam, and then when we take the test, we get an A or a B or an F, you know, like we get an answer, a result. In my career path has been a complete zigzag, diagonal, swirl, I don't know, all sorts of shapes. It's not a straight line at all. And for me, the biggest challenge is taking each step and realizing and knowing that you're meant to be at that step or that phase. Because then I've noticed, which this is always hard for me, even now I feel this. I've noticed that when I'm at a certain level or a phase and I'm not where I want to be yet, I get very frustrated. And living in that frustration is not good. It'll just stress you out, it'll discourage you. But that's probably been my most challenging thing because it's constantly happening. So it's constantly being like, great, I worked so hard for this, I trained, but I didn't get the role. Or I've been dancing on this show for 4 years, but I'm not a lead on the show. Why? Like, it's so annoying. Or I've worked so hard for X amount of years, but my TF, my talent fee, doesn't grow, and it should be this much now because I put in the work, I put in the effort, you know. So you just get super frustrated. But I've had to learn how to deal with it and check myself also. Like, why aren't you getting what you want? It's because you didn't, and maybe it's because you didn't um, work hard enough on this side, or maybe you didn't put much of an effort on this side. So there's always something to improve on with yourself to get you to the next level.
Do you think that girls would like benefit from self-reflection, even though it might hurt? But
Yes.
yes.
Super, of course. You have to, because a lot of times people don't like, or people don't appreciate other people critiquing them. Like, it hurts. It's just like your ego talking, right? So you have to learn to let your ego go for a few minutes and really assess who you are, what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, what you could be doing more of. If you constantly do that, I feel like you will have a better perception of where you are in the world with what you're doing. Because if not, you could just have an idea of who you are and how talented you are and what you're doing, and have no idea how it's affecting everyone else around you, which in turn affects how far along you'll go on your journey. So
Definitely.
always self-reflect. Always, like, even if you just write your thoughts down on a journal every day, or, you know,
Oh,
think.
speaking of which, we have another question that's asking, Ms. Mika, is there anything that you do like on a daily basis that allows you to like become more confident in yourself? Also, guys, if you want to ask questions in on Instagram or on this Zoom, you can. But we're getting a lot of Instagram questions, so we'll ask you those. But yeah,
um I definitely try to have some quiet time every day and just meditate, or because I also practice karmic healing. It's something I discovered a few years back, and it's actually one of me and my sister's good friends who also went to IS. Her mom is a karmic healer who showed us how, and basically taught us how to do it. But basically, aligning my energy is very important for me, because if I don't feel balanced, then nothing gets done. Like, it's just like my brain is a mess.
that makes
So
sense.
it's kind of like that thing where it's like cluttered mind, cluttered life, cluttered,
Yeah,
whatever.
the saying.
What was the saying? Cluttered mind, cluttered life. Ugh, I forgot. But basically, you want to make sure your energy is whole and balanced and clean. Otherwise, like, now with social media and everything, you get information left and right. It's always like information overload, right? With the news, what's going on, you see all your friends and your peers on social media doing the most, and sometimes it'll make you feel like, "Ugh, I'm not doing enough, I'm like a failure." But because of all that chatter, all that noise, you have to find time to balance yourself out so you can, you know, feel good about
Calm
yourself.
down. Yeah. Someone asks, how do you de-stress? By
how
meditation.
do i
How do you
how
de-stress?
do i how do I de-stress? I work out a lot. I try to work out every other day, but this quarantine, it's kind of been crazy. Sweating is really good because you release endorphins, right, when you work out. So that's like the feel good hormone. You feel good. I also like watching things on YouTube and kind of let my mind wander, or I like taking naps. That's it. Nothing crazy.
I see. And we have another question um, of how they could let their organization
Massages.
massages.
Massages are really, really great.
That's true. We have another one asking, and we'll try and get through all of these, guys. Sorry, we only have a few minutes left, but yes, we'll try and get through as many. What would you tell your 16-year-old self?
Oh, so much. Let's pick one. I'd tell her, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Okay,
Don't worry about it. Just do
that's a
it.
good one.
Don't worry about it.
And
Because I was always the type of girl that would, because I was the eldest, I would always get spanked and get yelled at by my dad and be disciplined, because of all my younger siblings looking up to me. So I always had this fear of like messing up, because if I messed up, or if I don't act responsible, then I get in trouble. So a lot of that kind of made me think that I couldn't do things. I'd always worry too much. Like, before trying something, I'd be like, oh, but no, oh, but this, but so and so might get mad. Oh, they won't allow me, you know. So that mentality, I need to take that out. If I could talk to my 16-year-old self, I'd just say, don't worry about it. Just do it.
Don't worry about it, guys. You heard it here.
So simple, right? But it makes sense. Just be responsible. Keep your head on your shoulders, but don't worry too much. It's not that serious.
True. And we have someone, Manish, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name, is asking if you, Miss Mica, could change one thing about your life, what would you change?
Sorry, it was choppy.
If you could change one thing about your life, what would you change?
I wouldn't change a thing.
That's a good
I
answer.
like my life. I like how it unfolded, even though it was tough for a while. No, I wouldn't change anything.
Okay, and someone else asked, how can I let my organization's social media account stand out? So I guess they're pertaining to how you were able to grow yours.
Sorry?
Someone asked, how can I let my organization's social media accounts stand out?
Stand out. Okay. You got to be consistent for sure. Social media is like a job in itself, to be honest. It's not easy. You got to stay active. You have to post really enticing posts all the time that connect to your audience, whatever that audience or that market would be. Do research on other competitive brands or companies, or even just like scope out what's around you, what's going on, what's successful around you, and mimic what they're doing, but do it in your own way. I think that's really important. But yeah, you have to be consistent, because we have algorithms that kind of think for us online, and the only way to beat it is to just be consistent. And when you're consistent, when new people visit your page and they see that you're credible and you're consistent, then they will trust you more and they will follow you, because they feel like they can trust you.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, guys, for watching. And thank you so much, Miss Mica Javier, for your time.
You're
And
welcome.
yeah, guys, we're going to send out a form right after this. It'll pop up on your screen. It's 5 questions. So please let us know what you think. And thank you so much, Miss Mica, for your time. And
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this. I wish I could actually see whoever's watching on screen as well. But feel free to message me on social media anytime. If you have questions, if I can help in any way, I would love to. So thank you so much for having me. And you girls are doing such a great thing by doing this She Leads Forward program. I love it. I'll tell all my friends about it.